This is the Skoda Enyaq Coupe vRS, and it's like a little crumb of Semtex. You see, they both originate from the Czech Republic, and this one, just like a crumb of Semtex, is just a little bit explosive. And I'll show you exactly how explosive, because I'm going to launch this car, see how quick it is from 0 to 60 miles an hour. I was going to talk you around the exterior design, the interior design, see how practical it is, because I'm Mark Watson and you're watching Carwow. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to this channel. That way you won't miss any of our reviews. Don't forget to click on the bell icon, then you'll be alerted when we do upload. Let's get on with this. Buy, sell, Carwow. Let's start this video by talking about the design of the Enyaq Coupe. The most obvious part is a sloping tailgate. Makes it look more sporty, doesn't it, than the standard Enyaq. Now, Sportline and VRS models get slightly sportier bumpers than the standard car, and the VRS in particular has this little reflective strip that runs the whole length of the rear bumper. Moving down the side, wheel sizes start at 19s, rise up to 21 inches. These are the 20s. Sportline and VRS cars get these black surrounds here for the window, and you can really see from this profile just how sporty the rear end looks compared to the normal, more boxy standard Enyaq. The VRS model gets its VRS badging there, and then at the front, once again, Sportline and VRS cars have more aggressive, sportier front bumpers. Though the VRS adds an extra fin in there, and the crystal grille. More on that in a bit. Do you know what? I like the look of this car. I think it looks a lot better than the standard Enyaq. The VRS really doesn't look much different than the Sportline though. Anyway, price. So Skoda, for some reason, haven't actually revealed the starting price for the Enyaq Coupe range. They've actually just launched it with this VRS versions. Cheaper versions will come along. Now, the VRS starts from about £55,000. And when you consider that the normal Enyaq starts from about 39, lesser models of the Coupe will probably be a little bit more expensive than that. Now, if you want to make sure you're paying a fair price for whichever car you're planning to buy next, you need to check out Carwow. And to do that, just simply Google "Help Me Carwow," and my team and I help you choose the right car for you and get it for a fair price from one of our trusted dealers. The interior of the Enyaq Coupe is exactly the same pretty much as the normal Enyaq, apart from the fact the ride height is about 30mm lower, so you do feel like it's, I don't know, the seating position is just a bit closer to the ground. Still, you get a good view out, and the seating position is very adjustable. This one's obviously got the electric seats, and there's enough adjustment in the steering wheel as well. Quality is pretty good, like higher up in the car. Though as you move further down, you get some scratchy plastics, and the handle that you use to actually shut the door with is very cheap feeling plastic. Another thing I'm not so sure about, it's the infotainment system. So the VW Group system at the moment, it's a little bit laggy. It has a few bugs in it, and while you have a really big central screen, the driver's display is just too small. It's just a little bit odd. I do like the fact that, at least on this, they have separated out the key climate control buttons. If you need, like, suddenly defrost the windscreen, you can just do a button. But the finer detail is still in the screen, which is a bit of a faff. It's not as good as just being able to twiddle some knobs. I like twiddling knobs. Now, this being the VRS version, there are some upgrades over the standard car. You get a VRS steering wheel with 3 spokes rather than 2 spokes for the normal car, and VRS badging. You also get carbon fibre effect here on the dash. Most noticeable though, the seats. So body hugging sport seats with VRS logo on them as well. They're quite nice. In terms of practicality, a bit of storage here. You got your wireless charging there and 2 USB ports. The very strange little lozenge that you move forwards and backwards to go into reverse or drive or neutral. And then there's some more storage under here as well. And door bins, which are of a decent size and lined with felt, so things don't rattle about too much in them. That's all you need to know. Here in the back seats, knee room, that's really good. Headroom, there's a decent amount. Probably a little bit tighter than on the normal Enyaq because you've got the sloping roofline. Though this particular car has the panoramic glass roof, which is thinner than the normal roof because there's no blind system to it, so a bit more headroom than I think you have normally if you don't have that roof. Now, if you need to carry 3 people in the back of this car at once, well, the central seat is nice and wide and quite comfy, and there is enough space for everyone's feet because you've got a flat floor. Though the seats in front are pretty low, so you can't stretch out underneath them, which is a bit of a pain. If you want to carry a baby seat in the back, there's enough room to get a big bulky seat here in the rear. And I like the fact that the covers for the ISOFIX anchor points are fold down, and the actual anchors themselves are really easy to get to, so you don't have to spend ages trying to fit the seat. Another thing worth noting is the practicality. So look at this, right? We've got in the front of the armrest, fold away cup holders. Nice. There's some through loading there as well if you need to carry 2 people in the back, and some skis. We've also got some pockets on the back end, an extra little pocket there where you can put, I don't know, your glasses, and because it's not very deep, they poke out, so you shouldn't forget them. The door bins, they're a decent size as well, though. Unlike in the front, they are not lined with felt, so things will rattle about in there. That's the theme in the back. Things are just a little bit cheaper here than they are in the front. Oh, I guess I'm just going to put this blind up and hang my head in shame.
Shame!
Now let's check out the boot. So, despite that sloping tailgate, it's really not much smaller than the standard Enyaq, which is 585 litres, and this is 570. Plenty of space. You might not be able to load it quite so deep because this bit is more shallow here. Also, there's no load lip to lift things over, so it's quite easy to get things in and out of this car. Other things I want to show you this. Look, you've got some storage under there for your cables and some more divided storage areas there. Although, I like this little baggie we've got here for the main cable. That's quite neat and tidy. And then there's some other features in the boot which I really like. So you've got these little hooks that fold down like that to hang things off like you're shopping, so it doesn't rattle about all over the place and when you go around corners on the way back from the shops. But the best bit is this, look, you can actually lower the rear seats just by pulling these levers, which is good. It's not a completely flat floor, you know, it is raised up a bit, but it's a continuous floor, so you can slide things to the front quite easily. I'd like to demonstrate it with something like a suitcase, but I haven't got one, so I'm just going to use my power bank. Oh, bugger. Now I've lost that. Some electric cars have some extra storage underneath the bonnet, but not this Enyaq Coupe. Something with the VW Group cars, they didn't think about how they could package this better so you can get some storage under the front boot, the fruit. Shame, really. And that brings me on to 5 annoying things about this car. Considering this range-topping VRS model costs from £54,000, you'd expect it to come with adaptive dampers as standard. It doesn't. Unfortunately, you can't even spec them individually. You can only get them as part of a package called the Max Pack. And the price of that pack is pretty max. It's £4,000. If you pay Skoda an extra £800, you can get the electronically deployable tow bar, though it doesn't deploy the whole way. You have to do the last bit yourself. Also, this car can only tow up to 1,400 kilos, which is 200 kilos less than a Kia EV6 can. In fact, it's 600 kilos less than a Skoda Enyaq vRS. For some reason, Skoda have been lazy and decided to fit right-hand drive versions of the Enyaq with half a glove box. It's because they couldn't be bothered to move the fuse box over with the steering wheel. Thanks very much, guys. There's no dedicated space to store the load cover underneath the boot floor. You think it'll fit, and it sort of would do, but there's this polystyrene thing here, and as you can see, that sits on top of that. You can actually remove this, but then that will sit lower down in the car, and if you put that underneath it, it'll squash it. Oh well. You obviously pay extra for the VRS model for the added performance, the 299 horsepower. However, in Skoda's press material, it says that the full 299 horsepower can be called upon for a maximum of 30 seconds. So you only get 299 horsepower for 30-second bursts. What's worse is that maximum power can only be available if the battery's charge level exceeds 88%. So for most of the time when you're driving it, you'll have less than 88% battery, and so you'll never have full power. What is the point of the VRS? However, it's not all bad. Here's 5 cool things about the Enyaq Coupe. For instance, you can get it with an illuminating grille. How showy is that on your Skoda? You get acoustic side windows as standard. Look, double glazing to help improve sound insulation. As a father of a 16-month-old daughter, I'm very pleased that there are ISOFIX anchor points on the front passenger seat, even on the sport seats, so you can keep an eye on baby while you're driving. Not an actual eye because you're looking at the road, but you know what I mean. You either own a Rolls-Royce or you own a Skoda if you have a car with an umbrella in the door. Unlike the normal Enyaq, the Enyaq Coupe gets an electronic boot release as standard. Now all I have to do is find out where the heck it is. Oh. It's right there in the centre. Surprise, surprise. Yay! I didn't have to do anything besides press a button. And of course wait. Sometimes that's just quicker. Every version of the Enyaq Coupe comes with a 77 kilowatt-hour battery pack, and the most efficient model is claimed to be able to do 339 miles on a full charge. In terms of charging, you can charge it on DC up to 175 kilowatts, on AC only up to 11 kilowatts. Now there's three different motor choices. There's a rear drive version, which has 201 horsepower, the all-wheel drive dual motor version that has 261 horsepower, or this range-topping VRS sporty model that has 299 horsepower. This VRS also has slightly sportier suspension for a more engaging drive, apparently. Let's see what this Enyaq Coupe is like to drive, starting off with in town. So one of the things about the Enyaq is that the suspension is a little bit on the firm side, and so you do feel the bumps quite a bit, especially when you're driving over badly surfaced roads and potholes and speed humps. One of the great things about the normal Enyaq is a turning circle. It's like 9.2 meters. I don't know exactly what it is for this car because Skoda hasn't listed it, but if it's anything like the ID4, when you move from the standard rear-wheel drive car to the four-wheel drive GTX, a sporty model with the bigger wheels, the actual turning circle increases by 1.5 meters. But look, whatever the number may be, this feels pretty maneuverable. I guess my only real complaint with like driving around town and stuff like that, apart from like the slightly bumpy suspension, is the blind spot out the back. So you've got a big rear pillar as a result of that coupe-like roofline, but also the rear window is pretty small. It's like looking through a letterbox. I prefer driving the normal Enyaq around town, I just do. I prefer it in the coupe, and I think this VRS model with its sporty credentials is even less good. There's one thing I wish I'd sorted out with this car though. One pedal driving, doesn't have it. So you lift off the accelerator and it does slow you down quite severely, but it doesn't bring you to a complete standstill. I'm still creeping, so at some point you do have to touch the brake pedal. Therefore you don't have full control. Don't know why they do that. Surely it's not hard to change. Now let's see what the Enyaq Coupe is like to drive on faster roads, such as dual carriageway. So going from 40 to 70, pickup's pretty decent. And there's 70. That's reasonably nippy, that is. Not bad at all. In terms of noise levels, a little bit of wind noise, a little bit of tyre noise, not terrible. Not the most relaxing electric car. Don't think it's quite as quiet as an Audi Q4, but it's easily good enough. One thing I'm noticing though with this VRS version, once again, the suspension. As for the efficiency, well, this thing is averaging 3.2 miles per kilowatt hour, which is okay. When you multiply that by its battery capacity of 77 kilowatts, you end up with a real-world range of 246 for this particular car, which is less than the 300 or so Skoda claim. It's always the way though. Let's see how this Enyaq Coupe VRS handles a twisty road. Does it feel sporty? Feels competent. Not exactly what I'd call fun though. I'm not really feeling the VRS, to be perfectly honest with you. Yeah, it's got decent amount of traction because of the four-wheel drive system, and punch is pretty good. But it's not electrifying like a Kia EV6 GT or a Tesla Model Y Performance. It just feels adequate. And you know what, I wish this car had the adaptive dampers, because this thing is getting bounced about quite a lot now. British country roads are really bumpy and you need quality suspension to deal with them, and this is not dealing with the bumps as well as a standard Enyaq. And I don't think it's any more fun either, so I'm starting to think, like, what is the point of the VRS? Yeah, you've got the extra power, but it's not amazing. Yeah, I'm not sure I'll bother. Skoda says this Enyaq vRS can do 0 to 60 in 6.2 seconds, but what will my specialist timing gear up here say? We're going to find out now. I'm going to launch it in 3, 2, no, that's one, did it the wrong way around. In 3, 2, I can't even do it. Let's dispense with that. I'm just going to bloody launch it. That was me doing that. It wasn't that brutal off the light, it's just like a habit. 0 to 60, 5.79. That's all right, that is. Quite a bit quicker than the standard car. Thing is, it just doesn't feel as quick as other performance electric cars. So then, what's my final verdict on the Enyaq Coupe? Should you avoid it, consider it, shortlist it, or just go right ahead and buy it? Well, I reckon you should shortlist the Enyaq Coupe, so long as you're thinking about getting a normal Enyaq with a larger battery, because then it might be worth stepping up to this, because it does look more stylish and it's not really any less practical. Should you bother with the VRS version though? No, absolutely not. It doesn't really feel that much quicker nor sportier. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a like. Let me know if you agree with my verdict in the comments below. If you want to watch some more videos, you just click on those windows. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to this channel by clicking on the Carwow logo there. Thanks for watching.